Hello, coming at you today with a fresh face, no makeup, but that's not for, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try to let the sun, make my face look a little bit better. And got Joni next to me today. I should do a what dog is next to me on at the beginning of my videos, because you never know which of the three it'll be. So I just wanted to share what has been helpful for my son, because he has had a fever the last couple days and it's just been on my mind. I have always, first of all, it is just the worst seeing your child really sick, and especially with a fever. I think those specifically, I don't know why, but they're a little bit more scary for me. It's just when you I would grab my son and he would just feel so hot, and it's just one of those things where they can be really, if they get too high, they can be super scary. So I just wanted to share a couple things that have been helpful for me, and things that friends have shared with me, or things I've seen online that I've learned that have changed my mindset a little bit and just brought me a little more, I don't know, relief, or feeling a little more confident when they happen. And I think that I used to always feel like, okay, he has a fever, what do I do? I kind of panic at first. I'm like, what do I do? What do I need to give him? What do I need to make sure we have in our house, and just be prepared for when that happens. And I feel like my mindset has shifted a little bit to more of, what do I need to support his body, or this could go for anyone. What do I need to help support his body during this process, or with having a fever? I think that something I've learned recently is that I honestly did not know this until, I don't know, a few years ago, that when we get a fever, it's our body's way of creating an uninhabitable environment for those viruses. So they're gonna want to leave when it gets, they're like, it's really hot here, I'm gonna peace out, I'm leaving. So when I learn the why and reasoning behind things, and why our body does what it does, or anything, it's always really, sorry, my hands are, I like to talk a lot with my hands. It's always helpful for me when I know that why, because I just think it helps me stay more calm and understand what's going on. I've never really liked just being told what to do without the reasoning behind it. The reasoning behind it helps me be like, oh, I got it. That makes a lot more sense. I'll do this now. Like, if you tell me to do something, I'm going to be 95% more likely to do it if you explain the reasoning behind it. That I left 5% because it depends on the mood. I might just be having an off day and not want to do it. And maybe I'm really hungry, so I might not want to do it. So gonna leave that 5% there. That has always been helpful for me. And before I share any more things, I just wanted to say too, I only have one child, so I don't have nearly as much experience as many other people do. And I never want to come across as I'm sharing this as like I know everything and I'm never worried. I definitely still get worried every time there's sickness. Like I said, especially with fevers, I feel like those are a little bit unique, and I get a little bit worried with those. And I just want to make it clear that I am so grateful that we do have hospitals and emergencies and things like that, emergency services, so that we do have something if we need some sort of emergency medical help. I think that I just have been such a huge fan of having natural, holistic, and I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean, like more modern care. I feel like the blend of them is such an amazing, they can be such an amazing tools together, and it's such a blessing that we have both things. And so I just love that we have both options, and understanding both sides kind of helps us make the best decisions for the time. And I just want to make sure I'm coming across as I'm not an expert whenever there is any sort of sickness. I'm not just like, okay, I'm not worried, I know what to do, this is what your body's supposed to do. And like, yes, that is what your body's supposed to do, but there is always that like I do want to still be realistic, and there's always, we live in a world where anything could happen, you know? So nothing is ever guaranteed. Even if we know exactly what's supposed to happen, that doesn't always happen, you know? Am I sitting on your tail? I am sitting on your tail. I was sitting on your tail this whole time. I'm sorry. Are you mad? Joni B. Her full name, guys, is Joni B. Jones. Not sure if you know that. Joni B. Joni B. Jones. You know, like the books, Junie B. Jones, right? Now I'm second guessing it. Junie B. Jones. Her name is Joni, but her full like sire name, is that what it is Joni B. Jones. So we call her that a lot. Anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to share my heart is that I share this because these things help me go from feeling like, oh my gosh, this is scary, to a little bit more on the other side of like, okay, this is okay. We know what to do. We're good. I'm still going to keep an eye on if things get worse. I feel a little bit better. So it's just brought me more over to the middle, or maybe the other side a little bit, instead of always being like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Where do I start? And going, you know, being in that panic mode. And when we're in that panic, it's hard to even like think straight. And so when I'm in over here a little bit more, I think I can think straight, think a little bit more clear, and not be as fearful. And we make better decisions when we're not coming from a place of fear. And when we're more hopeful and not as stressed, it's better for our bodies. It's better for people that are around us, you know, our health, and others around us, their health is going to be affected when we're in a state of like feeling stressed and hopeless. So just want to make sure that it's clear that that's where I'm coming from. And with all that being said, maybe this will help you like it's helped me. So, and I am no doctor or anything. This is not medical advice. Always, of course, seek your doctor or anything like that. This is just from my experience and what's helped me and what's specifically been helpful for my son. So when we get a fever, or when my son gets a fever, my first thing I always think of is, okay, what can I do to support his body? And it's always a detox bath. Detox baths, the best thing ever. Okay, so a detox bath, I use these three things. I use baking soda, Epsom salt. Please make sure to get the fragrance-free Epsom salt. You don't want any of their different scents, like lavender. They have some of the different ones. They all have I can't talk. They all have fragrance in them, and fragrance is like a blanket term and can include so many different chemicals and things that are not good for you. So that would be doing like the opposite of what you're trying to do. So make sure to get the fragrance-free Epsom salt. The only ingredient should be Epsom salt. There's only one ingredient. Is it salt? I don't know. And so baking soda, Epsom salt, and I usually use hydrogen peroxide. So when I first was doing this, putting all this in the bath, my husband was like, what are you doing? He told our son, he's like, I'm not sure what your mom is doing. I would be maybe concerned. So, and it still seems weird to me. I'll have to look up more specifically the benefits of, especially like hydrogen peroxide. That seems kind of like a weird thing to put in a bath. So, but all of those things are really good for just helping your body detox. And that's what I'm trying to do when anybody, but I'm just talking about my son right now. When he gets a fever, I'm thinking about how can we help our body detox and get rid of it. The fever is going to help already, right? It's creating that environment to get rid of the virus, and then I'm going to help support his body to help get rid of it even more, and so, or quicker, to help alleviate those uncomfortable symptoms for him. So those three things are really the main things I always use. And I usually do about a cup of each. If he was maybe a baby, I might use a little less, but a bath has a lot of water too. So I guess if he was a baby though, we didn't use the full tub, so that'd probably be different. But when he's in the bathtub, I'm using like a cup of each of these things. So a cup of each, and then if you want to like be a little more advanced, if you want to not worry about that, don't worry about it. Those 3 things are really all you need. I have some minerals from Young Living that I also put in there. I take those every day, so that's something that I usually have on hand. And then essential oils too. So if you want to be a little more advanced, you could add those as well. But those are just 3 things that we typically always have on hand. You know, it's not something that really goes bad, so I don't have to worry about, oh gosh, I have to go to the store. It's so great whenever I notice, I mean, it's not great when he has the fever, but when I notice he has one, I don't have to worry about, oh no, I have to we have to figure out how am I gonna get all this stuff from the store. So that's really nice. If you do want to do some essential oils, some good ones are thieves, lavender, lemon. Lemon is really good for helping your body detox. And then I use like sniffles and eucalyptus to help with congestion and stuff like that. But yeah, lemon and thieves are some main ones that I'll put in the bath. And I usually mix it with soap first before putting it in the bath. That'll help it not just be on the top. It'll help mix it and incorporate it throughout the bath. So just a little side tip. But yeah, that's like my biggest thing that I do. And he had a really bad fever 2 days ago, and I was watching it really closely, and we did a bath like every 3 hours throughout the day. And yesterday we did probably a bath like 4 times throughout the day because his fever was getting, so he was about like 102, 102.5 there for a little bit. And then yesterday it was back down to like 100, 101. And so we were still doing baths throughout the day a little bit. And then, like I said, I noticed it going down to like 100. So that made me feel better. And today it's all gone. So he had it for, one day it was kind of bad in the 102s, went down to 100, 101s. And now today he's back to normal, like 98. So 98.6 or 98.4. So he hasn't been, you know, too, so the other things that I watch is I pay attention to how uncomfortable he looks, because I know when I have fevers, I'm super uncomfortable and I just want it to go away. So I do watch that really closely too. You know, always use your own judgment of what you think to do. And what else was I going to say? Oh, something to keep in mind is like when it comes to using natural things, it's often not just like you do it once and then just wait and maybe do another one the next day. That's why I think it's important to be clear that I do a detox bath constantly throughout the day, especially the first, when I notice his fever is getting into like the 102s, and constantly doing it. And he always feels better after I give him a bath. Even my husband said that. He was like, gosh, those baths really do seem to help him feel better. The first night, that first day when he had the fever was the worst. He was having a really hard time falling asleep, and around like midnight, I was like, I'm just gonna try to do another bath real quick. And I put on like candles and had my phone on like red light so that he wouldn't be too woken up by all the blue lights and stuff. I've been learning a lot about the sun lately and lights, so but I did that we did a quick bath around midnight, and he did like a 3-hour chunk of he fell asleep for a good 3 hours, and he had been waking up like every 15 minutes. So from like, I want to say 7 to midnight, it was just every 15-20 minutes. So that little bath just helped set him up again for another few more hours. So they are amazing, super helpful. I've been talking about this for now 15 minutes. So you're probably like, what are all these hacks and tricks? I just want to keep it simple. Of like, there's sometimes I think I get overwhelmed and I'm thinking like, what do I do next? Do I need in my medicine cabinet? I want to find a list of things I'm ready to go. And I think that's great. I definitely have stuff, but I really haven't given him many things. I have given him some beef liver and like a smoothie, so you can't really taste it. I've given him some, bee pollen. I do bee pollen and beef liver in like a smoothie, and that's about it. I'm not really loading him up with a bunch of stuff. I have tried to give him like some like vitamin C and stuff like that, but it's usually all liquid, and he just it'll like make him throw up because he hates the taste of stuff. He's so picky. So honestly, it'll just make it worse. So yeah, that's kind of all I had. That's pretty much what I had just done this time around. And I did want to say too, I probably have some Tylenol, but I don't think I have any children's stuff. There's a brand called Genexa, I want to say, that's like a fever reducer. I want to have some of that just so I have it on hand. What I learned is that, you know, Tylenol and this better, more natural brand Genexa, they both have the same active ingredient. So they're both work like Tylenol to help bring that fever down. And my goal is always to try not to use that because, like we talked about, I want the body to naturally reduce that fever on its own. And the better it gets, my thought process too is like, when I think about, I was thinking about this the other day, where when our bodies are amazing. They know what to do, right? When it's off balance, it knows what to do to get it back into balance. It's always trying to reach homeostasis. And I was thinking about how when I feel like my son is just going to be set up really well later in life, the more I let his body naturally do what it's designed to do. When I try to intervene, I think that, you know, for when let's say he gets a fever and I just immediately give him something to bring down that fever, like Tylenol, and then his body is so used to like, oh yeah, I need something to help bring that fever down. It's almost like when you go, okay, the other day I went bowling with my brother and with Luke. We took Luke. I don't know if that was the best idea, but it was fun. But Luke, we had put bumpers up for him, and I was kind of helping him, or we would bowl together. And then sometimes, you know, he's 2, so sometimes he wants to do something, sometimes he doesn't, and it changes very quickly. So he all of a sudden didn't want to bowl, and so I would bowl for him, and I had the gutters on his, and I was like, ooh, this is good. And it's funny because I felt like as I was using the gutters more, I was becoming more reliant on using the gutters. And then when it was my turn and they went away, I was bowling horribly, versus if I never had been bowling with the gutters in the first place, like other times I've bowled and I just kept bowling, you know, for myself without gutters, I did a lot better. And I was just noticing that I almost sometimes didn't even want to try because I was like, I'm just going to go in the gutters. I'm so used to them being there. So when we have those, for example, gutters, when we have those, the support or those guides to help us, we're more reliant on them, and we might need them at times. I'm not saying we never need them, but if we just go to that, if we go to that so really quickly, then it might mean our body is more, you know, is more needing it, or more feeling like it's going to need that support in order to get back to homeostasis. So I think that even I'm not, if I were to need to give Tylenol or something like it to help bring that fever down, you know, I would rather do that than like take him to the hospital. So there might be a time and a place for it. I think I should look this up to be clear. I think it's when it gets to around 104, that's when you really want to be concerned. So you want to start bringing that fever down, because that's when it can cause some not great things. So when his fever was higher, like in the 102s, I was watching him really closely, and I was taking his temperature like every 15-20 minutes, I want to say. So yeah, I definitely was watching it very closely, and I would want to have, like I said, I want to have like the Genexa and the Tylenol that I was mentioning earlier, I don't know if I said this, they have the same active ingredient. So sometimes people, at least I thought Genexa I was like, okay, that's cool, they have a more clean version of Tylenol. And then I realized it's the more clean version isn't like without any, I don't know if there's dyes, but just a little bit cleaner ingredients, but it still has that same active ingredient. So in my mind, it's still kind of like using Tylenol. And Tylenol is like you know, it's just one of those things that's hard on your liver. And but you know, it's one of those things where I try not to use other things if we don't need to. And I just feel like when I understand what our bodies are meant to do, I feel a lot more comfortable and confident. And then I'm, like I said earlier, I'm more focused on what can I do to support the body, and I'm not just worried about what do I need to get, what do I need to have, what do we need to do right now. It's more just like, let's rest, do a detox bath, support your body in detoxing this a little bit more. Let's try to rest some more, drink more water, and do what we can to just continue to support the body. So I feel like I rambled for like over 20 minutes on fevers, but I hope that's helpful. I think all of this information I wish I would have known a long time ago. I just love the detox baths. They're so great. And when we're done with the detox bath, I usually put some lotion in my hand and do some drops of some oils, and then I rub that like on his back and his feet. I usually do lemon. Like I said, lemon is a good detoxer. Thieves, frankincense. Frankincense is just an all-around great oil. And lavender, help him rest, even though he does not rest. Even when he's sick, he's not really resting. And yeah, I think those are the main ones I use. I might use Digest if there's congestion to help break it up. And I'll just rub that, like I said, on his back, his feet, his shoulders, and just keep helping support his body, get rid of that. So I hope that is helpful. I think that's all I wanted to say about fevers. I don't know what it is, but I just felt like I wanted to share, because fevers specifically can be super scary. They still, like I said, I still get scared when there's sickness. You know, we don't like seeing our baby sick, and you know, like he can't explain to me how he's feeling and what's going on. So we're just having to use our intuition, our gut, and do what we think is best. So I never want anybody to feel like you're never gonna need the things that we have in modern society, because the things that we have available to us are incredible, and they can all be really helpful. And there's always risks and benefits, you know, like when his fever is around 102, the risk of using something like Tylenol is greater to me than the benefit. But when it gets to his fever being around getting to 104, then I would say the benefit of using something like Tylenol is greater than the risk. So that's always changing, and I think that the more educated we are on how our bodies are designed to work and what's going on, and we don't even have, you know, like I don't know a whole lot, I just know some basic things that other people have shared with me. And so I'm just saying, like, we don't have to read books on it, because I feel like sometimes I can easily go down a rabbit hole of like, I need to learn everything about this, and I can easily overwhelm myself. But sometimes it can just be understanding, oh no, if someone would have told me fever is your body's way of creating an uninhabitable environment for that virus, I'm like, that makes so much sense. Then I don't get as freaked out when I see that. And I just am, you know, we're a lot more calm during the day when he is sick. I'm just trying to do what I can to support him, make him feel more comfortable, and detox his body as best as possible. And I think that the less I intervene, the more he'll be set up later in life, because his body's just going to continue to learn, like his body's going to know that, like, I don't need all this stuff to help me. I know what to do, you know. I know how to get rid of this. We've done this before. We're going to be able to get rid of this. Joni is now asleep. Oh. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me. Have you had any sick kiddos lately? I've been hearing a lot of people have been sick lately, so I'm hoping I don't get the sickness now. We'll see what happens, but regardless, I would rather be sick than my child be sick. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. So I'm glad he's feeling better. This fever is dropped and back on the upside, back ready to terrorize the house, get into things. All right, thanks for listening. If you have some more tips for what do you do to help your body detox and get rid of anything that's going on, or do you have any tricks for fevers? I would love to hear them, because I know I've heard some crazy things like putting potatoes in socks on your feet to help like detox, and the potatoes will come out like black. Have you guys heard of that? I've never tried that. I've heard a couple things of like wet socks and like the potato trick, and I just know that Luke wouldn't leave that on his feet. So I haven't tried those, but I am curious if those have worked for you, or if you have any other crazy tricks, please share.